I think the answer to that is 13 seconds. I'm not joking. There was a French guy that was killed during the French Revolution, and he was a scientist to the end, and he wanted to know the answer to that question. And so as his head was chopped off by the guillotine, he decided he was just going to blink.
I have heard the blinking story too of the beheaded guy.
Like, how long can you talk to a severed head before it stops functioning?
I think, let me, I just found it. I think it's 30 seconds. Wow. So it's called the Lavoisier experiment. So this guy in France during the French Revolution, during the Reign of Terror, he was like a scientist, and he wanted to know stuff like that. And he got sentenced to death via guillotine, and he's like, hey, bro, here's what I'm going to do. When they cut my head off, I'm just going to blink a lot. And you just count how long I blink. And this says 30 seconds.
What?
It's a long time.
Who did he ask? Was it the executioner? Or like, did he ask Robespierre? Were they pals or something? He had connections higher up?
I have no idea. That was just a quick Google. I have no idea. Who even knows if that's a fact? I don't know.
I've heard that one before.
I've heard it too.
The blinking experiment. I thought it was 13 seconds or 15 seconds.
That's what I thought too.
So,
I vote we don't test it.
No, let's not test it, but what are you doing with those 30 seconds if you're not doing an experiment? That's 30 seconds to think about something you've probably never thought about before. I mean, this is going to sound like it was an intentional pun, but I had already decided on the phrase before I asked the question. Where does your head go there? I don't like it either. It wasn't on purpose. But what do I do? Back out or be a man of principle? I've been bugging you for a while about having my friend Austin jump on. You know, he owns Armadillos, the ice cream shop where my kids have all worked. And he is clever. It's not a normal job. It's like the ice cream shop in town. And I thought it could be good for a number of reasons. Are you open to this?
I'm more than open to this. And there's many reasons why. Like I've talked to Austin several times, and I find him to be remarkably intelligent. In Alabama, we call a man like him a sandbagger. Do you know the term sandbagger?
I do. It means somebody who came south after the Civil War and set up shop down there to exploit the upper economic opportunities.
Those
that
are carpetbaggers. That's a completely different thing.
Well, then I have no idea what it means.
No, a sandbagger is someone who's really, really intelligent, really smart. They're good at things, but they are humble and they don't let on that they're like, they kind of joke about how simple their thing is, or how like, oh yeah, we just sell ice cream, you know, in the case of Austin. But they actually have secret knowledge. They have an insight into a specific area of the world that is very, very valuable information. And if they're allowed to talk about it, it could help a lot of people. And I think Austin is that guy, specifically around the realm of what it's like to have a customer service interaction and first jobs. Like your daughters work there, right?
Mm-hmm. So I'm taking that as a yes then. And so I don't want to ruin the whole episode before we get him in here. But long story short, it's just exactly that. I have watched for years now what his hiring process looks like, how he's coaching kids up, all of these little things that you wouldn't think you would need to know to succeed at life, or like you just don't remember how you learned them, that I guess I do. And I guess somebody must have taught me how to read an old-timey clock. But I know how to look at that and know what time it is. And I know how to calculate in my brain how long it takes to get from where I am to where I need to be. I didn't just know that. People built into my life and taught me. A lot of that was my parents. A lot of that was school and coaches. But a lot of that I learned from my first jobs, and accountability to the people who ran those jobs, and accountability to my parents when I went home and they asked me what it was like. I feel like bringing Austin in is going to have a lot of layers of usefulness, very, very wise, practical usefulness, because I think we're going to get some of that stuff that you just don't know how you learned, but you learned it and it's really important for succeeding at life. Some of that's going to come up when we talk to him because it just always does. But also I think there's going to be a whole bunch about getting a job, being a parent of somebody getting a job, going back out into the world after you've had a job as an adult for a long time, and doing something new or getting a new job or interviewing for something. I just think there's a ton of layers of good that we're going to get out of him, and I don't think he'll make it boring.
Absolutely. And I think it says a lot about a person to be able to run such a forward-facing small business in a community that like the reputation of the business itself is what makes the business work. And he's clearly succeeded in that. I like Armadillos when we go there. But anyway, I'm more than excited about Austin here. I'm looking forward to it. So how do you think this episode will be used by people? Like, someone told me this week they were changing jobs and they said, I sent the Life with Chapters episode to someone.
Yeah, I hear that a lot.
Yeah. How do you think this episode is going to like exist in the culture of No Dumb Questions?
Okay, well, first of all, if somebody's hearing this, it went well. If you're not hearing this, it means it didn't go well and there just wasn't any value. So we're assuming that this conversation is going to go great. And if it is what I expect it to be, then I think parents are going to play the thing for your kid before you go for the first job interview. Just sit them down, turn off all the screens, and just be like, here, listen to this and let's discuss it. Because what you are getting is gold here. You're getting the insider take on the person on the other side of the hiring decision. And I think he's going to tell you everything and reveal all the secrets. I mean, think about it. An employer doesn't want to make it a riddle. They want it to work out. They're spending their money to hire somebody. They're vested in the success of the person they hire. So I don't think Austin's going to be coy. I think he's just going to spell it out. This stuff is great. Do it. This stuff doesn't work. Don't. So yeah, I think that's how it's going to get used. This is going to be like your pump up jam before you go and do the interview.
Here you go. Secret knowledge. Let's do it. What are we talking about today?
Well, I got my buddy Austin here, and he runs a wholesome local restaurant. You know, every community has the ice cream shop. He has the ice cream shop. So I was going to ask him about how he gets young people into the workforce and what he teaches them and how he mentors them. But first, I wanted to talk about beheadings. I guess actually,
No, that
Austin
was me.
wanted to talk about beheading.
No, that was me.
Austin just, man, that's a strong lead, man. Yeah. But I do think it's an interesting question, and it's not a dumb question because you're right there in the balance between life and death. Are the synapses firing correctly? Because you need oxygen in the brain in order to operate. And
But you have some in reserve.
Do you?
Surely you do.
I don't know how that works. I don't know how, if oxygen has to be flowing through the brain in order for it to work. I don't know how that works and how quickly it goes away. But 30 seconds seems like a long time to be blinking.
Well, I would bet it's 30 seconds.
Yeah. Wow.
That is a long time to think about stuff. I've talked with people who said they saw their life flash before their eyes, and they describe in a moment where they were sure they were going to die, everything super slowing down and having like slow motion thinking like they've never experienced before. I have not told you guys this as two of my very good friends, but I had that happen once, and it did slow down. I was able to think faster than I've ever thought ever in my life in this one moment.
You
What
guys
happened?
think super fast anyway.
No, it wasn't like that. What was your question, Dustin?
What did you do? Like, what happened that made your life flash before your eyes?
My sister was a figure skater at an ice rink in Fort Collins. We lived about 10 minutes outside of town. And it was just a nasty winter when I was growing up. I'd had my driver's license for maybe a year or two. And it was my job to get up in the morning and drive her to ice time. If you know anything about hockey or ice skating, ice time is very hard to get. So you're always there at crazy hours. So I was getting up and driving my sister there, my younger sister, to ice skating at like 4 a.m. And then my parents owned a shop in Old Town Fort Collins, Colorado. You know, we were always going into town. Well, we had a nasty winter. I got up. I didn't consult mom and dad. I got in my 1974 Mercury Comet. I drove to Fort Collins. My sister went to ice skating. It was then my job to drive her back home. And my dad had been in town, so he was following us back out to the house at like, it's still like 6:30 or 7 in the morning. And it was so cold that you know how things look crystalline, like the air crystallizes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's ice on the road. I was driving a really old vehicle. I guess I didn't handle it quite right. And with my dad following us, 2 of his 3 kids in the vehicle in front of him, I hit a patch of ice exactly as an 18-wheeler was coming the opposite direction on just a, just a basic 2-lane country road. So I'm on pavement and we went backwards. We just fully rotated like a Dukes of Hazzard, Fast and the Furious kind of move or something. When I passed the truck, I was facing the same direction as the truck. I was fully backwards as I passed him. And I felt this enormous sense of peace come over me. My sister didn't scream or anything. We both kind of locked up, but I felt this peace. And I just thought about everything. All these memories happened at once. All these memories about my family, they were all happy memories. But it was crazy. It was like the most thinking I've ever done in the smallest amount of time as that vehicle did a full 180. I mean, my front fender must have missed that truck by inches. And we spun again and we just went into this pillowy, soft snowbank in the ditch. Somebody came along, pulled us out, and that was it.
Man.
Yeah.
Huh.
It was just weird. So, I mean, maybe I thought I was going to die. Maybe I don't know. It was just so strange. Maybe it was adrenaline shot through me and it made my brain work faster. So maybe those 30 seconds are way longer than we think. That's my point.
I'm reading on the Wikipedia page and it says it's probably an apocryphal story. Like, it seems like the story likely originated in the 1990s Discovery Channel documentary about guillotines. Checks out. The aliens guy probably said
yeah, could we just do one more take on that except lie?
Yeah.
Yeah, Discovery Channel.
Sure.
Okay,
Sure.
well, maybe not, but it was, I had fun telling you a story about my life flashing before my eyes.
That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking of people's lives flashing before their eyes, Austin, you get to interview a lot of kids who are entering the workforce for the first time ever. And they've never faced that kind of scrutiny. It's a brand new thing. And I know that you make quite the effort to, help kids get into the work life and to help them make money and learn responsibility and that kind of stuff. And I've been really fascinated by how you do it. My kids have worked at your ice cream shop. Are we going to say what your ice cream shop is called? Is that all right?
Yeah, we have to. Austin, can we please talk about how awesome Armadillos is? Can we talk about that?
Well, I mean, the cat's out of the bag now, I guess. So sure. Okay.
I think we need to introduce Austin a little bit better here. So I've been to Rapid City. It's a beautiful town, and you took me to Armadillos when I was there. It's the local ice cream shop.
Yep.
And my understanding, Austin, you have a flavor of the day, and it's a really big deal, whatever the flavor of the day is, right?
Yeah. We switch our flavors every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That's what we're known for.
Yeah, and so this is about the most wholesome business I've ever seen, ever. It's got a beautiful sign out front. It's like a teal and purple sign with an armadillo. I bought a t-shirt when I went there. I thought it was awesome. I worked at Dairy Queen growing up. I remember what my first job was like. Matt and I got to talking, and we were saying that the first job is a really big deal. That's your first contact with adulthood, with society, with all the things. And Matt was telling me about how you're basically an expert in onboarding a person into the workforce and teaching them the soft skills that are required to interact with the public. We've talked a little bit in the past about how soft skills are difficult for a lot of people. With phones going on right now, it seems to be especially difficult for this generation. But Matt said, as his daughters work with you, you've just knocked it out of the park. And so we decided to have you on to ask you questions. Is that what you were thinking, Matt?
Yeah, and instead we just hijacked the whole thing with beheadings. But ideally, what we were going to do is exactly that. We're going to ask you what you've seen, how you've done it. I want to know more about what you guys mean when you say soft skills, too. I think I know, but I've never heard anybody really define that tightly. I'd like some examples of what that is. So where do you want to start, Destin?
I'll start here. I recently did a corporate talkie talk thing, and we were talking about what this organization wanted me to speak on. It was interesting. They kept asking about how to prepare the younger generation for the workforce. That was the thing they kept coming back to as one of the major problems. And we're sitting here on a Zoom call, and what I'd like to do, if you can let me share on the Zoom here, Matt.
Sure.
So these individuals kept talking about the workforce and how difficult it was. So we looked at a couple of articles. There's one from Forbes from December of last year. It says, managers don't want to hire Gen Z workers, citing a lack of soft skills. There's another one here from Fortune, says, the soft skills crisis. 1 in 4 execs wouldn't even think of hiring an entry-level Gen Z grad. And then I found another article from McDonald's that says McDonald's is investing an incredible amount of money into training the workforce. And I'm on record on Nodem Questions as being a hater, but I'm not a hater. I have, Austin, you were busting my chops a little bit earlier about, you can go ahead and say it. I was basically dunking on people for not being good at customer service. And I've just had some bad experiences, and I want to know what's up with that. And I think you're the expert to talk to.
I'm quite flattered that you guys would describe me that way, but I'll take it. And I guess I'll just kind of share my experience the best I can. I've never read a study or done any of that type of stuff with soft skills before. To me, it's just common sense. Like, do you have good leadership skills? Do you have good ability to critically think? Do you have a good ability to read the room? You know, you're looking at customers and are they happy? Are they sad? Like, what's going on? A good, strong work ethic, how to be vested, how to have ownership over stuff. I like to call it the napkin test. Or do you watch employees walk by a napkin and not pick it up from on the floor? Or do they just turn around and pick up that napkin because they have ownership and they're vested and they're like, well, I don't want this place to look bad, so of course I'm going to pick up a cup or I'm going to pick up a napkin or whatever.
Can that be taught? I mean, can what you just called common sense, have you figured out a way to impart that to kids who don't have it?
That's what I love to do. I love to develop things, develop those skills in my employees. Yeah, I think on some level you can develop it, but it also takes a willingness on the part of the person to be able to do that. That's also one of the skills that I really try to do is instill the ability to be teachable. Can you learn and grow from other people?
I want to do some brass tacks. I want to ask you some specific questions about this stuff because I know that you have really juicy stories about all of this. And I also know that you're not going to want to tell them all because of this microphone here right in front of you.
Yeah.
I would like to give you permission not to lie, but to obscure some of the details to protect the innocent and maybe the guilty. So you can feel free to adjust a few details about like who or when or whatever, just to kind of obscure it because I don't want to deprive everybody of the best stories.
Yeah.
Does that make sense, Destin? Are you understanding what I'm saying here?
Are you saying like if it's a young person, you can make the story about an old person? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, stuff like that. Or, you can say recently, but by recently you can mean like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Or if it's a girl, you can tell the story about a guy. Like just change enough stuff so that we get the story, but you don't feel weird about talking about people.
Yeah, I'm not going to name names or any of that type of stuff, but ask
Kelly.
Away. I mean, here's the deal. I don't want to embarrass your kids that much.
That's hurtful.
So
You can tell stories about my kids. I don't mind.
Your kids have been great.
So Matt, your kids did work at Armadillos, correct?
Yeah. I mean, they've got to be close to the top of total number of seasons worked there of anybody ever, right?
Your oldest, yeah, absolutely.
One more year and she's trailing only you and full-time managers, I would bet.
It's close to that, yes.
That's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a little history, Austin. How long have you owned Armadillos, the ice cream shop there in Rapid City? Like, how did you arrive at ownership? Just what's the brief background of the shop?
Yeah, my dad started it in 1995 with a business partner, and I worked there for 10 years, and then I went away and worked at Starbucks for 8 years, and then I came back as an owner. So his business partner retired, and so I came back and worked, and I think this is my 12th season back as a business owner. But I've been in customer service and being a manager and hiring for a lot of those years.
Okay. And you're seasonal. And if somebody, you don't know, if you're trying to explain what you do, what is the shop? What do you sell?
We sell ice cream
And
food.
and then fun.
Yeah.
Why does it work?
I think there's three things. And these are three values that we have at our company. We want to make the highest quality product possible. Then we're going to do it with a smile on our face. We're going to try to give you the best possible customer service we can. And I'm going to make the prices as reasonable as I possibly can. I get asked like, hey, do you guys do, this discount or that discount? And I always like to say everyone gets a discount because these are literally the bottomest prices I can possibly do while still being a business.
And you don't charge tax.
No.
What is that about?
I like the idea of if you walk up and the price says it's $4, then it's going to be $4 and that's it. And so I don't charge tax. I just pay taxes. Like I take care of the taxes on the back end.
I love that. I love that. Like I don't know of a business around here that does that, but that instantly makes me want to go to your shop. That's incredible.
Why do you like that better?
It just feels more honest, and it feels like I'm paying the amount. Well, let me ask you this, Austin. Do you do tips? Like when I swipe my card and I do the thing, do I give a tip on, like, does the questions come up and does the person turn the thing around and say, it's just going to ask you a question? Does that happen?
Yes. And man, that is so tough. Because actually, what's kind of fun is tips, I think, started at ice cream shops. Like the whole idea of tipping, at least in America, at least one of the original businesses was ice cream shops where you tip at, which is kind of fun, right? That's what I've heard. What I try to do and what I try to get my employees to do, or at least I've got like a little note on the tip thing that just says, you don't have to tip. You can tip if you want. You don't have to. What you're going to get no matter what is the same great customer service and the same great product, regardless of if you tip or not.
And you literally say that phrase? You literally have that phrase up or something?
So I have that phrase up, like on display. And then especially whenever I'm working the register, at least, I kind of just have my phrase of, it's going to ask if you want to tip. You don't have to. You do whatever you want. You're going to get the same great service no matter what. That's what I always say.
I appreciate that. I like that turn of a phrase. You know I have strong tipping opinions.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
It's refreshing that there's even an effort put into acknowledging what it would feel like on my side of the equation for that. You might hear heavy rain in the background. Like the sky's just parted here.
Oh my goodness.
Where we're sitting. Did you hear it?
Yes,
I
did.
Did something fly into a window, or it was very impressive. What I like about the no taxes thing is that it feels like when I would go to the snack stand at the pool in Maquoketa, Iowa, when I was in 3rd grade for swimming lessons, and my parents would give me a $1 bill and I would stuff it in that little pouch that is just awkwardly positioned right there in the front of your trousers, and it's just rubbing against you the whole time you swim. And then you get out of the pool and it's crinkled like your little thumbs and fingers are. It's all wrinkled up beyond belief. And I would walk up and I'd like wring it out and put it on the counter in front of the high schooler that worked there and be like, how much candies can I get for this much dollars? And then they would take me through all the permutations on the menu of what I could get. And there was no tax. And Armadillos feels like that. I know exactly how much money I can spend.
So a question I have, Austin, you have a lot of high schoolers mostly that work there. Is that true?
Yeah. Yep. I have 35 total, but 33 high schoolers pretty much.
That's a lot of young employees. So I can imagine high schoolers often go to college or they leave town. Why do you use high schoolers? And do you end up with a lot of turnover because of that?
I think one of the big reasons that I use high schoolers or like to hire high schoolers now, I love being able to help them and develop them. That is one of my favorite things to do. I'm trying to teach them skills that they're able to take with them the rest of their lives. It's not like I started the business or moved in as an owner and was like, this is what I'm going to do. We just kind of fell into it, but also I try to be intentional about it.
Can you get any high school student who comes in the door to be an effective employee?
No.
Why not?
Honestly, you have to be teachable and you have to be willing to learn. Sometimes I can tell that in the interview.
Are you picky?
Yeah, incredibly picky.
Does that make people mad?
I'm sure. I don't know. I've never...
I mean, I feel really comfortable asking this because you hired my kids. I'm super at peace with this line of questioning because of I didn't have to feel bad.
Yeah, I am super picky, and I'm sure I've upset some people. I also try to be fair-minded about it when I'm providing that feedback. Like even in the interviews, I tell them a little bit of why I am or am not going to hire this person.
I've never sat in on one of these things that I'm about to reference, but I know that sometimes you go into middle schools in town and they have you talk about work and interviews and armadillos and how you get a job and things like that. Like, what are the big tips that you give kids on how to interview well? It might be useful for somebody sitting in on this conversation.
Here's the biggest tip for interviews from me. Fundamentally, what you're trying to do when you go into an interview, I mean, this applies to anyone at any age, right? If you're going in for an interview, you're trying to tell that person why you're going to make that business better. So every answer should be truthful, and it should be geared towards the values of that company, and hopefully those are aligning with what your values are.
So they have to do work in advance to understand what they're applying for, in your opinion?
If you want to be an outstanding applicant, if you want to have an outstanding interview, just look up really quick. Hey, what's the values of this company? Like, what do they find important? First off, think about it critically. Does that align with your values? And if
a kid comes in and you ask, what do you bring to the table here? And they're like, well, to me, it looks like the big product you sell here isn't even ice cream. It's joy. It's a break from everything else. It's a treat. It's an indulgence. It's a celebration. So the way we serve customers has got to be part of that experience. And I love treating people that way. And I think that's something I do really naturally. So I think I'd be a really good fit. That would be good.
That would be a tremendous answer. Yeah, that would be tremendous. And so if you're interviewing someone, and you and I have talked about this because you've been interviewing, you should be trying to find out, is this person going to make my business better?
So what's an example of like a difficult question you would ask in an interview, Austin? And what's a proper response to it?
A lot of times I will ask very specific questions. So we can go through some of the details of them, but let me answer that generally in that I ask, it's called a SARI method of interviewing. That's SARI, situation, action, result, and interesting fact. So I'm going to ask you, hey, tell me about a time that this happened. One of my favorites is tell me about a time that you failed at something. And I let them answer it. And if they say, well, generally when I fail, okay, cool. Tell me about one of those times specific. Can you think of, like, and take your time. We're in no rush here, but take your time and tell me about one of those times that you failed. Okay, and then they'll tell me about a time that they failed at something. Like it could be a school project, it could be whatever. Cool, how'd you navigate that?
SARI?
Yeah, SARI.
So that's S is the situation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's that. Mm-hmm. What was A again?
Action.
So then you're going to ask them, what'd you do about it?
Yeah, if they don't offer it, right? Like a lot of times, some people that are really good at interviews will tell me the situation, and then they will say, and then I did this, and then the result of that action was
the R, result.
It fixed it.
Okay.
And then I is just an interesting fact. If there was something interesting about the story that I want to write down as well. It's kind of a catch-all. It's the SARI method of interviewing.
Okay. You just didn't want it to sound like SARS.
I think so, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I get it.
I also didn't create it. I just learned it.
At the beginning of this episode, Destin and I were talking about you, and I was saying that this could be really useful for somebody that wants to play this, maybe for their kid before their kid goes and does an interview. Increasingly, as we go along, I'm thinking this would also be very useful for anyone going to an interview. If this is a method of interviewing, you want to know that's a method of interviewing, whether you're 14 or 64, so that you can have thought through your answers in advance. Mm-hmm. So they're sharp, so you're ready. But also, hey, if anybody lives in the Black Hills and your kid is applying to Armadillos, you should especially play that part for them. That's just a little bonus insight that I wanted to give right there.
Yeah, that's not a secret. Like interviews are pretty simple. How are you going to make my business better? And I will be asking you questions about specific situations. Please give me specific answers.
How much does eye contact, handshake, attire, those things that you think of, how much does that matter to you?
General demeanor. What's your general demeanor? You know, again, I had an interview that halfway through the process of the interview with the parent where he put his head down on the table.
Like just folded his arms and put his head down?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Dear.
Yes. Your demeanor. It's an ice cream shop. So, I mean, if you show up in a suit and tie, like I love that. But also, you know, especially as you're interviewing older, find out the culture.
So quarter zip.
Yeah, maybe quarter
khakis.
zip.
Okay.
You know, if you're interviewing for Peyton Manning's job or something.
Well done.
Then quarter zip. So yeah.
You ever have a kid come in and just have awful hygiene? Sometimes kids smell bad. They don't know yet.
Yes.
Has that affected your decisions?
Yeah. For the interview?
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a no. How do you communicate that effectively? maybe again, I'm going to read the room hopefully well and figure out if that's an appropriate thing to provide feedback on, in the moment of the interview, or obviously they're not a right fit. They're not understanding the drill. You got to show up and you got to look nice and smell nice and be attentive. And
what about on time for the interview? How much does that matter to you?
oh my God, if you show up even 1 minute late, that will be your first question. Before I even do my softball intro question to help put you at ease, I will say, so you were late. Can you tell me why? It's almost a no automatic if you show up late to an interview.
Is there anything above and beyond outside of the normal parameters of the interview that if somebody does that little extra thing, you're like, yeah, that always works on me, I'm hiring you?
Yes. If you come in and you show me that you genuinely care and want to make my business better, then I will hire you on the spot. Yes, every time.
Cool.
Around here, I'm seeing a lot of businesses that just need employees and they're so desperate. If you walk in and fill out an application, you're getting the job. Are you in that situation, or do you have multiple people asking to work at Armadillos?
I have been in that situation before where I have been desperate. My opinion, if you're a good business person, you're never succumbing to that pressure of I'm just going to hire a warm body. Like I've always been picky and I've always tried to do what I can to get great employees. And if I have to run short-staffed until I get a good employee in, I will. And this is what I'm teaching my store manager and my ASM right now, my assistant store manager, is plan ahead. Like, get a good plan for labor. Make sure that you're interviewing well in advance so that you're never putting yourself in a situation where I'm desperate and I'm going to hire just anyone.
Awesome. I apologize to derail Matt's question. Matt, your question was about interview questions. I'm sorry.
That's a good question. So, okay. So they apply. They can just come in and ask for an application, I assume?
Yeah, anyone can.
Okay. And then I assume you review the applications.
Yep.
And do you interview everybody who gives you one?
No.
What would disqualify somebody from getting an interview?
Probably the biggest reason is I just don't have a position available at the moment. Right?
All right.
So yeah, you turn an app in and I'm like, I don't have any positions available. We're not doing interviews right now. And then we'll filter through based upon availability. And, there's some wonderfully stupid federal labor laws that restrict when certain age kids can work. And
because we want to get those kids working younger.
If they want to work,
that's the spirit.
Let them work. 14 and 15-year-olds. That's not unreasonable.
You got a problem with that, Destin? I'm looking at you over there.
Not
What's
at
that
all.
body language?
No, I'm completely fine with youngsters working. I think it's good. I have seen in the past people that work at a very young age. They seem to be more mature, better adults, more responsible. They have ownership over things. Everyone in my life when I was in high school that actually had a job, I looked up to them. I thought they were incredible people. So I think younger the better. Preferably 7 years old and in mines with pickaxes, maybe.
Absolutely. All the
children
kids
yearn
play
for the
video
mines.
games to simulate working in mines anyway. I don't see why we don't give them a real crack at it.
Right.
I know,
they
right?
all want to dig a hole.
Earn your keep.
Dig a hole.
Yeah, I hope
Here's
you
a
like
shovel.
porridge.
I think 14 years old is about right. I think like 14. I can imagine if you're showing up at 12 years old, I can imagine that mom or dad is like right there wanting to be a part of the interview. But I think at 14, I'm walking in myself and I'm putting on a nice button-up shirt and I'm going in to meet Mr. Austin at Armadillos. That's what I feel like.
We got to pull on that thread. But first, a quick detail that I think is relevant to the conversation. You can drive alone at age 14 in South Dakota. Is that the case in Alabama?
No way. You can probably get married or something. But no,
you brought it on yourself.
Yeah, I know. If I tell the jokes about Alabama myself, then I steal the thunder from people making fun of me.
Good move.
No,
good move. That's what I do with male pattern boldness.
You can drive a motorcycle at 15 in Alabama, and you can drive a car. You might be able to drive a motorcycle at 14 in Alabama, actually.
So you put them in the more dangerous vehicles sooner.
Correct. Yeah.
Cool. That's great. That's
makes a
really
ton
good.
of sense.
Is that a part of your 9,000 page long Constitution?
Yeah, that's the topic for another episode, but I would like to cover the Constitution of the state of Alabama. That is a thing. Yeah. No.
Okay, so the 14 working age thing, it's a little different equation here because historically South Dakota it's farm country. We just happen to live in the little corner of South Dakota that is mountain country. So it does feel a little different to have a pretty nice sized city here in the mountains and have kids driving. I don't think that's the intent. I don't think Rapid City is what was in view when that state law was made. But hey, whatever. We can get the kids off to the ice cream mines a little bit easier because of that rule. So that's cool.
Here's the deal. I've hired probably over 2,000 employees over my life.
Seriously? Wow. No way.
Maybe between 1,000 and 2,000.
Did you add a zero?
Easily over 1,000.
How many do you hire a year?
Well, I have 35 employees right now.
But I mean, how many total over a year will come and go?
I've hired I hire 15 to 20 a year.
That'd be a lot of years to get to 2,000.
Yeah, that's probably true. I don't know. Math is hard. Destin, can you do that math? Do you have a calculator?
I'm not even a mathematician.
I cannot.
Okay.
That's beyond.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure I'm over 1,000 at least employees.
But you hired a bunch of people at Starbucks as well, and that was a bigger roster.
Right.
But what I do know is you've hired way more people than I have. I've only participated in interviews from the interviewee side. I've sat in on some interviews a few times, but not as the decision-making authority. So you are the expert in the room as far as I'm concerned about interviews, and I think this would be very valuable for a parent who has a child or a young man or woman that's looking to get a job. I think this would be very valuable to listen to and understand how to conduct yourself in that interview.
Do the parents show up for those interviews?
Actually, I ask them to.
Okay, so why is that?
What I do with an interview is I will interview just the potential new hire at first. So it's just going to be, that young man or that young woman and me, and a lot of times my store manager, and we'll just do the interview. The parent has to sit off to the side. They have to keep their mouth shut. They can't interject. They can't do anything. And then if I want to take it to the next step where, okay, they pass the interview, we think they're going to be good, then we will sit down and have, I like jokingly call it behind the scenes a parent interview, but it's more of a discussion between the parent and the potential new hire and me. I am gauging what the parent reacts to, because if you're a helicopter mom or a helicopter dad, I'm probably not going to hire your kid because I can just tell, like, this is not going to work out. You're going to be interjecting. And I'm also looking to see if the parent is viewing this as a real job or if they're viewing this as, oh, this is just like a extracurricular activity, right? Like, oh, they're going to be on the chess team or they're going to play football or some sport.
Do they have some kind of little code thing that they always say that betrays that they view it as an extracurricular activity and not a job? I mean, how do you know that they see it wrong?
A lot of times they'll just explicitly say it, but I don't know. I don't know if there's really a code.
But it is that, right? Like it is like if a parent says, so this is a thing to help them learn responsibility and teamwork and to help build something important.
Yeah.
I mean, it is that.
It is those things. Absolutely. Also, depending on how they say that.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah, I just don't know if there's a phrase. It's just, you can tell, oh, okay, they're going to be really controlling of the schedule. They're going to, of when they can shift.
I want details. I would love for you to obfuscate the facts of the case, change the names to protect the guilty. But I would love to know about an interview that went horribly wrong, the exact moment you knew it went wrong, like what you thought in the moment that the parent or the potential employee said the thing, and then did you just end the interview right there, or did you keep going? I just want a wrecking ball of a story.
Okay. Well, my favorite one to tell is not at my ice cream shop. It was at my the coffee shop that I worked at, and I'm vaguing the details. Right? You asked me to do that.
That works.
Yeah. So we don't know which one that is. It was a coffee shop.
Could be any coffee shop. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It could be any.
Christian one though would be Higher Grounds. Probably be Higher Grounds if it were a Christian one. That's what they always call them. You can always tell those Christians.
So the young gentleman, the young woman came in and said that, or like just walked up to the table where I was sitting to do interviews, tossed her application at me. And
you're doing a great job of obscuring
It really is.
So it was a boy or a girl.
We don't know.
I can't tell. No.
Tossed the application at me. So like it just kind of like flew at me and then sat down, put their feet up on the table.
Whoa.
put their feet up on the, I'm going to repeat that, put their feet up on the table, lean back and goes, so do I got the job or so do I got the job or what?
It's so obviously a dude.
Wow. What did you say?
I just, all I said was, thank you for your time. We'll be in touch if we want to move forward. And I shook his hand and he goes, do you have any questions for me? Nope. I know everything I need to know. Thank you. You have a great day.
Dude, when Camilla was pregnant with our second kid, one of the ones who worked for you, we went into the ultrasound. We were like, the ultrasound tech, we were like, we don't want to know. We want to be surprised when the baby happens. So do not show us the screen. And if the midsection is on screen, we don't want to see that. So he's like, okay, no problem. He did a really good job. He obscured the screen and everything. And then our daughter got real kicky and active and stuff. And the ultrasound tech is like, oh, this one's active. I think we've got a ballerina here. And then he said, I'm not kidding. This is how he chased it. He made a nervous, sick face and said, or a male ballerina. So he was worse than you, but that's the only worst job I've seen.
Or a male ballerina, or a male ballerina. I've never heard that story. That's great.
Yeah, well, it was magical.
All right, so that person crashed and burned. You just didn't call him back. So is that the way you handle an interview? If you know it's not going to work out,
I'll cut it short.
You cut it short, but you don't tell them right there. You say, we'll be in touch if. That's kind of how you do it?
Sometimes. I mean, that's how I did it way back when. That was a long time ago, and that was for not my own business. So, you got to kind of balance all of the pressures there, right? When it's not your own business. But with my own business, I tend to be a little bit more forthright about it. All right. So two other bad stories.
This is what we're here for.
I've had one came in. I knew this individual. Well, I mean, there's no way not to, it was a dude. Because this is going to give it away.
Or it could have been a female dude.
Take that, ultrasound tech.
I learned that trick from Matt's ultrasound tech.
Correct. So comes in, and I had a little bit of an acquaintance outside with them, right? I didn't know the family that well, but we were on a little bit more of, I had spoken with these people outside of professional life. And so came in, and the first thing he said to me was, boy, there's a lot of cute girls working here. And I go, okay. Well, I'm going to ask you a couple questions out of politeness, and then we're going to move on. And
why was that a deal killer?
Because I don't have a clue who you are. Why are you making a comment about the attractiveness level of the rest of my employees that work here? That's your first question you're going to ask me? Probably not the right question to ask in an interview.
Yeah, you're setting yourself up for a sexual harassment lawsuit.
Yes, absolutely. That also, I don't know if I want to put this person around the rest of my employees that are there, right? I don't know who you are at the end of the day. I'm going to have a little bit of a connection. So I know you probably meant harmless by that comment. Also, that's not how you act. So I took that as an opportunity of, instead of just, okay, well, hey, thanks for your time. We'll be in touch if we want to hire you. And then that's it. And just let the kid not learn the lesson. No, I called the dad, got both of them on the phone. Well, I called the dad at first and just communicated, hey, this is what happened. So what do you want to do? I want to help your son learn. Let's figure this out. And so we did. And
wait, by figured it out, you mean you went ahead and hired him anyway?
No, I didn't hire him. But I made him understand exactly why I didn't hire him. Because of that comment and his unprofessionalism. You just can't do that in an interview. And you need to learn the lesson of, this is what happens when you do that. You don't get hired.
So you had a conversation with the individual and you explained it. That's a pretty big deal that you did that, because that was uncomfortable for you. It's probably easier just to sweep that under the rug and just be like, whatever, that happened, I'm out of here. Not going to deal with them anymore.
Yes.
that tells me that you actually care about the person, even the one you didn't hire. Like you cared about his future.
Yes. Honestly, that's how I view it. Anyone. If you're going to enter my circle, then I am going to do you the service, especially within the circle of armadillos, that I'm going to give you the feedback you need necessary, hopefully, to grow. When I fire someone, it's because I don't have anything else to teach you at that point. You're unwilling or unable to learn from me, and your attitude or performance is not conducive. And so hopefully this is a wake-up call of you should stop and you should course correct very harshly. And in so doing, I'm going to let you go.
I do know a little bit about you, Austin. Like when I call Matt sometimes and you guys are on the way to lunch and I'm just talking to both of you on the phone, I know enough about you to know that you are not afraid to give feedback.
Yeah.
And you do it a little differently than people do it in Alabama. In Alabama, people, I don't know, I've heard people say that they don't like people from the South sometimes because you never know what they're thinking, because they're saying something nice and they might mean something, bless your heart kind of thing. You might be saying nice words, but deep in the back of your mind, you're thinking like, whatever, this person's an idiot. I want them out of my life. I know enough about you to know you are not scared to give authentic, genuine, negative feedback directly to someone's face. I know that about you. Is that fair, first of all? Do you think that's fair?
I think so.
That's fair.
Yeah, I think I'm good at that.
Yeah, you make a lot of effort to be cool about it, but you will be direct.
And I think it's good. It's kind of refreshing. One thing I wondered about when I knew we were going to have this conversation is I wondered what it's like to be an employee of yours, especially as a young person, when you just don't know things. What is it like to observe something in, I guess, give me both sides of that equation. Can you tell me about a time when you've seen an employee do something dumb or bad or whatever, and you had to approach them and give them the feedback? What should a young person do when they're getting that kind of negative feedback? How should they respond to that? What does it look like when they do it right, and what does it look like when they do it wrong?
I know you're going to be uncomfortable answering that question directly. Can we just do it as an exercise? What I want to know from what Destin's asking is, what do you want? Like, what would be the ideal response from a kid who's getting negative feedback? So let's say I mixed the flavoring wrong and I just ruined an entire machine's worth of ice cream for the day.
Yes.
That happened recently, right?
Yeah.
And you were cool about it. We were there when it happened.
Yes.
Honest mistake somebody made. That flavoring, it's real potent, right?
Yeah.
You were there, Matt, when it happened?
Yeah. Why were we? I mean, we just came up to meet you for like my kid's birthday or something.
It was your kid's birthday. And
there you go.
Yeah. That was exactly it.
And you darted out while we were sitting there eating.
Yeah.
Because somebody butchered a whole thing of ice cream.
Yeah.
A lot of product, and you were out a lot of money. And I know you went in the other room and you had a talk with that kid.
Yeah.
So let's say I'm that kid and I'm the one who made the mistake. What would be the ideal response from me when you tell me that? Oh, hey, Austin, I think I mixed the ice cream wrong. People say like something's wrong. Can you look at it?
Okay, so I did look at it, Matt, and it is wrong. You put one flavor, poured that on top of another flavor, and so that's why it's tasting
Kelly
awful.
said that I was supposed to put it. She said 2 caps, so I put in 2 caps, but she didn't say what size cap. So I just picked the nacho cheese cap and I went with that.
Okay, so why did you choose the nacho cheese cap? Have we ever used that?
It
for
was the
flavoring?
closest cap.
Okay, perfect. So what we need to do, I mean, here's the thing with that scenario. I'm like, just none of my employees are that dumb. So I don't even know, like, I might actually be like, are you really that dumb?
Then you're that dumb. You hired them. Okay, let's try it again. Let's say it was just an honest mistake. I mismeasured.
I mean, I
put in like 1 unit instead of 2 units. I just got it wrong. Or I put in 3 instead of 1.
Right.
What do you want me to react like?
What I'm going to ask, first off, is I'm just going to say, hey, so walk me through what happened.
I made a mistake.
Okay. How did that mistake happen? Were we moving too quick? Were we not paying attention? Do we not know how? Like, the feedback all depends upon...
Put in 2 of the things, and then things got backed up front. So
Right.
I ran up to help serve and just get some product out to people. I came back. I couldn't remember how many I'd already put in, so I guessed, and I guessed wrong.
Okay, well, so then the feedback is going to be pretty simple. Hey, let's make sure that we finish our task before we move on to a next task. If you need to go back up and help, that's fine, but we also need ice cream in the machine. So the priority would be, let's finish filling the machine and then go up and keep working.
Great. Now you be me. This is very important. You be me and give me the perfect response to what you, Manager Austin, just said. What would be your favorite thing to hear right now?
You got it, Austin.
Is that simple?
It's just that simple. The feedback or the criticism or whatever you want to call it, sometimes it might be personal. Like I might be telling you, hey, your customer service, the way you interact with customers can sometimes come across as weird. So let's just not have it be that way. And here's some tactics or some tricks or some things that I do to try to help with that. But regardless, don't take it emotionally. Don't take it personally. And the thing that I always remind my employees is, hey, I'm on your team. Matt, I'm on your team. Like, I want to see you be successful. Okay. So depending on if you're starting to respond emotionally to me, that's my immediate go-to is, hey, let's take a step back. I'm on your team. I'm here to help. I'm not criticizing. You're not in trouble. I'm not documenting this and it's going permanently in your file. I don't do that. What I'm trying to do is help make you the best possible person you can be.
Okay, so that's the ideal response, is some sort of acknowledgement of, I understand.
Yeah.
And it will be different moving forward.
Yeah.
If I say nothing more than that, you're happy.
Sure. I mean,
Okay,
if there's a
what
question.
are the most common examples of bad responses? What's the most common thing that somebody would do if they don't like the feedback or they're responding wrongly?
Providing excuses, placing blame, trying not to own it, like trying to pass the buck on to someone else.
So I noticed you did not try to make the employee feel guilty in this scenario. That's interesting because for me, I'm a person that wants to get things right. I want to serve my employer correctly, whoever that may be. I've messed things up in the past. I go with my hat in my hand and I offer sincere apologies for that. I think I would expect the employer to try to come down real hard and make you feel guilty. Like, hey, you can't look at what you've done. You didn't do that. Is there a reason you didn't do that?
Well, because everyone makes mistakes. I mean, my goodness, I have made so many mistakes over my life.
Yeah.
And Matt knows a lot of them. And Matt doesn't make mistakes, but I mean, they're many and numerous. How many times have we had to re-record this podcast? Like 8,000 because I keep screwing it up.
This is the ninth.
So, I mean, you're going to screw stuff up. I can either use that as an opportunity to learn, or I can use that as some sort of power. Like, I don't even know why a manager would do that. Or
No,
why.
you nailed it right there. It's to bank debt. Your bank. That's why people use guilt a lot of the time, is to bank equity with the other person. You wronged me. I let it go, but I let you know. You wronged me. And you stack those things up. And then some people have this misguided notion that you can get people in your debt. That's a whole genius of love keeps no record of wrongs. It just forfeits that game. We're not going to keep guilt debt here over people's heads. And from a practical point of view, I know from my kids' point of view, it's made it very easy for them to take big swings and feel ownership at work. And even if you're not there and they don't know quite what to do, there might be 3 or 4 smart things they could do in facing a situation. Instead of being paralyzed at the fear that they might not pick the best one, they think and then act. They assume that even if it wasn't your first choice for how to handle it, you'll see what they were going for, that they were acting vested, and that you'll train them, coach them, and send them back out to take another swing. So they feel very empowered by how you come at it.
Oh, well, good. I mean, that's the goal. Honestly, like, the other way of doing that is just a crappy leader. Sorry, you just are. If that's how you lead people or manage, I don't like the word man. I think there is a difference between a manager and a leader. You described someone that does guilt trips and holds that over their employees. Those are probably managers. to me, a good leader is someone that empowers and allows their employees to take large swings. And they're going to screw it up. My goodness, we've talked about so many things and so many other things that we haven't talked about, that they screw stuff up all the time. Cool. Well, let's learn from it and keep taking swings. Sure, there are times where I'm pissed. Like, I find out something happened and I am...
Like what? Destin, do you want to know what made Austin, quote, pissed?
That sounds bad. That sounds real. I'm trying to think of things that can happen at an ice cream shop that would evoke such strong language.
Dude,
I can't... Like,
that's like an 11 out of 10 foul word.
Yeah. It is. I don't know. Maybe somebody bought...
Dude,
for the
Tina,
banana splits,
bleep what Destin just said.
Yes, please.
That's too much.
That's really offensive.
I don't like that
rotten
expression.
bananas.
Wow.
bleep that out again.
No, what's made you mad? What's happened at work that made you...
Honestly, I don't remember.
Come on.
No, like, for reals.
Do you want me to remind you so you can tell the stories?
Sure. Here's the thing.
Okay, Tina, you can make this go away. I'm going to remind you of things that made you mad.
Okay.
Somebody took slices of cheese that you paid money for, and they flung them on that like real clean, clinical make table backsplash wall. You know, that texture.
Yeah.
Because they would stick on there, and then they were sticking them on there. That made you mad.
That didn't make me mad.
How did it make you feel? Happy? Pretty happy?
Well, I just disappointed. I was like, okay, well.
Oh, Destin, hold on.
Oh, yeah, that's
Destin,
our word.
Never mind.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
Right. That's totally different.
It is. It's totally different.
It's totally worse. It's worse than mad.
Well, it probably is. But I mean, so, okay, hey, why did you make that decision? I mean, again, the point of it is, do I make them feel bad or do I actually try to help them? In that scenario, I talked to this individual and was like, what were you thinking doing that? Like, what's the point?
So it sounds like a lot of the things you're talking about, I get the sense this is in that realm of the term you were both using, soft skills, be on time, be vested, that kind of stuff. What exactly are soft skills and how do you teach that?
I have no clue what soft skills are. I think that's the first thing I've heard of from you, Destin. Like, I guess I'm just trying to teach common sense is a little bit of what I'm trying to teach these kids. You know, again, probably the big 5 things I try to teach my employees is leadership, the ability to read the room and, you know, handle customers from all types and backgrounds, happy, upset, whatever. Teamwork, ownership, how to just take ownership over anything other than their immediate self-gratification, I guess. Critical thinking, and how to be teachable, how to take feedback that you're not going to react super emotionally and super personally to, that, hey, this person's probably giving me feedback in a way that they're trying to help me. And it might not come across exactly how you'd like it to be said, or it might not come across exactly perfectly, but they're trying to help.
Is that what you mean by soft skills, Destin?
Yeah, exactly. I kind of did a deep dive into McDonald's because when I was growing up, we used to shame people by saying, you know, in the future, you're going to say, do you want fries with that? Like we thought.
A good one.
Yeah, we thought that a fast food job was a shameful thing. I regret those jokes, unlike your mama jokes, which are timeless and funny.
I don't regret those.
But I
think your
mom
mom is.
I know, right? Well, my mom is lovely. You back off of that.
She's a saint. I still meant the joke.
Let's leave the mothers out of this.
I'm not going to do that.
That's right. So McDonald's, I'm on the corporate website right now, corporate.mcdonalds.com. They did an incredibly large financial investment into teaching soft skills to the next generation, the workforce, right? And this is, I'm reading directly from the website. What makes a good first job? Survey identifies 3 soft skills that help drive long-term success. And they're exactly what you just said, Austin. In fact, 2 of them are swapped, but they say responsibility, teamwork, and responsiveness. And I'll just read if that's okay. The responsibility side says skills like being on time, completing all of the duties associated with the job, and being accountable for results. That sounds like emotional ownership to me. Is that what you would interpret that as?
Yeah.
The other one, direct quote from you, teamwork, says skills like collaboration, problem solving, and effective and clear communication. I think that's awesome. And then the responsiveness says skills like actively listening to colleagues or customers, staying focused, and acting quickly and thoroughly to deliver meaningful results. That sounds like Armadillo's employee to me.
I hope so.
If McDonald's is investing an incredible amount of money in this kind of stuff, in the future, if I'm ever in a situation where I am conducting a job interview, I think I'm going to look at fast food jobs or quick service or whatever, something where you're having to accomplish a task and you're having to interact with the public. That's going to be a pretty major plus on a resume to me, more so even than some fancy pants degree or something like that, because that demonstrates that this individual knows how to work with the public, how to interact with other people. I think that's a really important thing for a person's future.
So I agree absolutely with that last part. I think customer service jobs are tremendous developers. Matt and I have had these discussions before just about my kind of poo-pooing on sports and stuff. And I love sports and I played sports growing up in high school. But how much demand of time sports have demanded of kids as young as 8, 9, 10 years old. What you end up having to do is pick between a sport or work. And you can't do both. Where, I mean, I did both growing up, but now sports are so demanding that it is very tough. And as an employer, there are certain sports in this town that if you do them, I don't interview you because I know the demand schedule and you just don't have time. Like,
are you serious?
I know the coach, I know the demands from it, and I like those sports and I like to go watch some of them. Also, I know I'm not going to be able to hire you because you will not have time.
Spill the tea,
right
Austin.
Now,
what
somewhere
is it?
on this planet, there is some sort of youth sports podcast happening where they're all together and they're like these stupid employers who think that jobs are how kids learn life skills. They learn it through sports, and jobs gobble up all their sports time to go and be in travel leagues for sports. Why are they wrong and you're right?
Here's the deal. Sports do teach you things. I do think they teach you teamwork. I do think they teach you responsibility. I do think they teach you a work ethic. I just don't think they teach you it as well as a job does. Also, have you ever been paid in high school to do your sport? Or do you have to pay into that sport in order to do it?
You saying it's a pyramid scheme?
You have said it
You
is
have
so.
said it is so. I knew where that was going.
That's probably, I mean, I don't know. The NIL deals are probably crouching down into high school level. I hate that, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was.
I'll pay you for it. Here's the deal. If you work at Armadillos 20 hours, like I'm only open 8 months out of the year. If you work at Armadillos 20 hours a week during the school year and then 40 hours a week during the summer, and you do that for 4 years of high school, and you don't ever get a pay raise, like the whole time you're just getting paid the starting pay, which no employee ever does with me, you'll make over $50,000 by the end of your high school career. And that's working 20 hours a week during the school year, 40 hours a week during the summer, and 4 months off in the winter. And then you're walking away from high school with over 50 grand in your bank account. If you've saved that money, that's at a minimum. Like, what can you do with that?
It's a lot of money for ice cream, Austin. What are the numbers on an ice cream business, man? You had 30 employees. I'm just running some numbers.
35.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You're slinging a lot of product.
Those 35 employees are not all doing that, though.
Oh, no. No. I mean, again, that means you got to work 20 hours a week and then 40 hours a week. And that's hard. Those are even little things that I'm trying to teach the employees as well is, hey, if you want a job, guess what? That means you're going to work. And you've got to be available, and you have to actually show up 3 days a week. I'm probably one of the most flexible jobs in this town, I think. I try to work around everyone's schedule, and Matt can attest to that.
Yeah.
I think I do a pretty good job with that. But also, if you take time off, you don't get paid. That's kind of the point of having a job. If you're getting a job, you should be willing to work at that job.
Okay,
Otherwise, why get it?
Okay, but there's a lot of degree here. Did you work 40 hours a week in the summer while you were in high school, Destin?
No, probably 30 max, I would say.
30 max. That's about the same for me. I mean, sometimes I'd stack up 2 baseball seasons on top of high school baseball. So I'd play 120 games in a year. I don't have time to work a 40-hour-a-week job, but my parents always made me have some kind of job anyway. We've talked about your first jobs. I don't know if I've told you about mine. I won't give you all the details, but I did Burger King. I worked at a bookstore in the mall. And then I knew a guy who owned a temp agency, and he roped me in for a year and deployed me to the most bizarre jobs, including being the grunt work wire puller for the new refrigeration system at Montfort Meatpacking Plant in Greeley, Colorado. Just me and a bunch of real rough dudes. And I learned so many new things about human anatomy and relationships between men and women.
Did you learn a lot of those swears?
I learned swears and languages that I don't speak.
Oh.
And they are very imaginative. But so I worked a lot. I didn't feel like I was lazy in high school or anything. And then I still had chores and everything too. But man, 40 hours a week for a high school kid, it's impressive. It's kind of a tall order. I don't know.
I don't think it's that tall. How many hours a week do you guys work right now?
Hundreds. Hundreds. 200-300 hours a week.
Yeah, I wish I worked 40 hours a week.
The Bible doesn't comment on itself, Austin. I got to get up early.
I worked 40 hours a week during the summer, at least, especially my junior and senior year, while still also playing sports too. I was not nearly the athletic player that you were.
You say so.
Well, the problem was I played golf, which takes one round takes 5 hours. So, and I still got 40 hours in.
I know you got stuff that you have to do today. I have a question, and then I can see one forming in your brain, Destin. Quitting. How do people get out of it when they're done? How do you like for people to quit?
I would hope that they would thank me and be like, hey, thanks for the opportunity to work here. I do unfortunately need to give you my notice. I'm going to work out all of my shifts with excellence. And again, I really want to thank you for your time, but unfortunately it's just not going to work out for me anymore.
Why does how you quit matter?
Especially if your first job, you don't want to burn a bridge. Like you don't want to leave that job badly.
Why? They're never going to work there again.
Yeah, but you also don't live in a vacuum. Like you're going to be around people. I guess my opinion is try to treat everyone with respect and dignity throughout your whole life, because you never know when you might be around that person again. Just be kind. If you have an option of being kind or not kind, go with kind.
Yeah, I think it's good. You could serve as a reference in the future. Do you ever get people call you and say, hey, I'm going out for this super job and I need a reference. Austin, would you please consider being my reference? Does that ever happen?
All the time. Yeah, all the time.
But do people call you for like a super mega corporate job, even though you're an ice cream shop? Do they want to know what your opinion is?
Yeah, I get phone calls all the time from future employers just saying, hey, can you verify some details for me? Verifying when they worked, what their position title was. And then they also ask me, do you have any concerns or, about them handling, sometimes I'll get, government questions like classified information, or do you have any concerns about this person with their integrity? They're going to be handling money or, whatever. Like I'll get whatever question your next job is that they're concerned about. I'll get questions about, do you have any concerns that they might not be able to handle this? Again, I try to be as respectful as possible, but if I've had performance issues and I have a job description, and if I have performance issues, I will say we had performance issues and performance conversations about this skill or this behavior.
Wow.
Or I'll say this person was great and I never had any performance problems. They were either meets or exceeds expectations with all of their performance.
But what if they did stupid stuff and you told them how to make it better and then they got better? Would you tell them that, or do you still hold it against them because they got it wrong at first?
Like, again, that's not a performance problem. Those are not performance issues. That's training.
Okay.
So a person's name is worth more than gold because your reputation is the key to getting more gold in the sense of payment. It's very, very important how you conduct yourself at an ice cream shop in Rapid City, South Dakota. That matters for the future. I think this is really interesting. I think if you're entering the workforce, what I'm hearing from you is your emotional ownership, your responsibility, your teamwork, like how seriously you take yourself is how seriously your employer is going to take you, and that's going to roll forward, right? Is that what you're saying, Austin?
Yes.
I'm on record on this podcast calling some of the interactions I've had with this current generation weak. Like I've sensed weakness in this generation at times. I had to learn a bunch of stuff. What would you say to that? I mean, you've made fun of me off mics before for the weakness thing. You're like, come on, Destin, you idiot. You know, this isn't true. I don't know. Just respond to what you're seeing in this current generation and how a first job prepares people. Whatever you want to say here. Punch me in the mouth. Whatever your thoughts are.
Honestly, I think that I've got 35 employees that are rock stars and that would probably disagree with you on that. I think they would probably disagree very strongly about that. They're tremendously hardworking. They care a ton. Now, the thing that I tell them and I give them the feedback is you guys have a tremendous opportunity right now because so many of your peers are so bad and so weak.
Okay, so you don't totally think Destin's wrong.
Yeah, probably not on some level. The reality is they can shine so easily and stand out so easily from their peers right now.
You mean if they just do the basics? If they get the basic soft skills, the 3 things Destin brought up that were the 5 things that you brought up, that's such a head start in your mind.
I think on one level, it's not that hard to figure out what you need to do. On the other side of that coin, it is tremendously hard to be consistent and do those things well. Like what we've talked about with those soft skills, I don't like that phrase because they're tremendously hard to do, right? To be on it all the time, to be paying attention to other people and not just navel gaze. That's hard to do. Mm-hmm. Also, if you can develop that skill and develop it young, because if you start a bad habit at age 14 with your first job, that bad habit will be with you when you're 40.
Yeah, when Destin was saying your name's worth more than gold, I think when I was a kid, I thought that was true, and it'll start to count at age 30.
Yeah.
Like my name and my reputation, they are going to matter later. And later, I am going to nurture those. I mean, you both seem to be indicating that it matters from as soon as you're able to conceive of a reputation and relationships and responsibility in other people.
One of the things that I think all of the bad experiences, they had one thing in common, and that was there was some corporate structure or computer program or management like procedure that was getting in the way of the human interaction between me and the person I was interacting with.
There's not a button for that.
What do you mean?
Well, like that kind of thing. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. There's no button for the thing you want. I can't do it, therefore.
Yeah, or sorry, our policy says you have to have a reservation before I can make you. I can, make you a reservation. Yes. That one so perplexes me. One thing I've noticed is that you're a really good manager. You're intentional. It doesn't seem like you have a lot of computer programs or flow charts in between the customer and the employee. Like you empower the employee to have autonomy and think on their feet and do whatever they need to do in order to make the customer happy. And I think as a society, a lot of the issues, the responsibility falls on the managers. For example, I had interns when I was at my last engineering position. And as I've been I've been thinking about this a lot. I think my mentors that I had early on were better at mentoring and teaching than I was. I think I did not understand how important it was to be a good manager and a mentor like you are. I think that was an error I made. I think I owe a lot of young engineers apologies because I was like, Tracy Williams, who was my mentor, he was fantastic and he taught me a lot of things. And I tried to teach things to the people I was mentoring, but I don't think I did as well as him because I didn't understand how important it was. I don't know. I'm having this moment of self-realization as I observe how intentional you are with your employees, that might be rare. Like the customer service experience at Armadillos in Rapid City, South Dakota might be unique because of how thoughtful you are with how you train your employees and your hiring process and how picky you are and intentional you are with your communication. It's almost a self-reflection, but I guess there's a compliment for you built in there, and there's some self-critique built in there as well.
Yeah. First, thank you, because I do hear the compliment. Also, like, it's slightly hurtful that you call me a manager, not a leader, but I'll take it.
I wondered if you'd catch that.
And
you did.
I did. And but I think you meant leader instead of manager, and so I'll take that. No, you're absolutely right, and I totally forgot about just bringing up getting a mentor. You should get a mentor in your life. My dad taught me everything that I know about business. He taught me so many things, and he has been a mentor for me all of my life, and is still. Matt has been a mentor for me, and just person that is able to, I don't want to say this phrase like a cliche, but he's been able to speak truth in my life and provide good encouragement when I'm being an idiot, and then also been able to provide correction and be like, dude, your decisions that you're making are awful. Or, hey, your decisions that you're making are great. Quit second guessing yourself.
And vice versa.
Oh.
Yeah, appreciate you that way as well.
Thank you. You need those people in your life. Lewis Hill was a mentor in my life, and he passed away a while ago now, but he's been a mentor in my life for most of my life as well, spiritually. We all need them. I like to say that everyone needs to have a counselor, whether that's formal or informal. You need to have someone that you can talk to about things and let it, like, just say anything and let it be okay, and that they're there to help you and that they're on your team. It's weird that I'm this old now where I guess I'm mentoring people, but maybe I should be doing that more intentionally.
Or maybe just keep doing it accidentally because it's going well. You're doing a great job. You have played an important role in my kids' lives, and you being here for graduation party and stuff like that. Like, it would just be unthinkable not to have you here. On the surface, you'd be like, oh, because, you and I are good pals. But really, it's because of the role that you've played in their lives. You weren't a dad's friend invite. Outside of our family, you're on their Mount Rushmore just because of what you've done through work and everything else. And so, no, you're doing it. It's a big deal. I do have one question that I think is practical and is important before we wrap up. We have been talking a lot, like you pointed out, Destin, about a good work environment with a leader at that job who clearly I believe in enough to send my kids to work there. Do you have any advice for people who are contending with a more difficult workplace, a more difficult environment, a more difficult manager situation? What should they do if everything about where they work is the opposite of this, but they have to be there? And also they understand that their name is gold. They want to get it right. They want to be building a reputation, but their situation's bad. What would you have them do?
Just do things with excellence any moment that you can. Actually, just taught my son how to mow the lawn yesterday.
You have a robot lawnmower that does it using GPS.
Yeah.
Did you teach him how to use an app? Did he get sweaty?
Yeah, he did. No, I actually blocked off a section and made him mow it.
Okay, all right, there we go.
So, like, he did 95% great, but he missed a few areas, right? Like, he didn't do perfectly straight lines, and so didn't overlap it well, and so he had a few long hairs, long pieces of grass laying around.
I don't know why, but I just hated that phrase. I just did not like that at all.
Well, one of my first jobs was mowing a yard, and the guy down the street, he owned a carpet cleaning business, and he gave me negative feedback. He said, hey, you did this part wrong. I didn't know how to take the negative feedback. I wish I could go back at now having the hindsight of maturity and say, thank you. But I thought he was getting on to me. I didn't understand the importance of taking that feedback well. And I didn't realize that till later on. It's one of those things you think about late at night, when you're trying to go to bed.
Yeah.
It's a big deal.
Did you just do the teen boy grunt? Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah, basically.
Ick.
So, yeah.
So,
I've done it.
I told my son, hey, one of the principles we always operate with is we do everything with excellence. You're not going to get it perfect, but did you do the best you possibly could? My two oldest do like ballet and tap and that type of stuff. And I always tell them, hey, when you go out there and you got your performance, have you done the best you could all year long to learn the dance, to learn the moves? And then when you go out there, do the best you can. If you screw up, okay. But did you do your best? Did you try your hardest?
How do you keep going? Because your kids are going to go out and do their best. And then their mom and their dad who love them are going to prop them up. They're going to praise them for it. They're going to give them some feedback and help them get better. How do you continue to do your best when you work somewhere horrible and you have a horrible manager and you don't get any of that encouragement or warmth.
Grit. You're not going to be in a perfect scenario all the time. If you're waiting for your environment to be perfectly set up just for you to be able to operate at your best, it's never going to happen.
Destin, question before we wrap up. You know how we're looking for a pilgrimage site in Rapid City, South Dakota?
Yeah.
We have one in northern Alabama. It's your son's Mountain Dew vending machine that you accidentally won at a raffle to support guns.
Yeah, that's right.
Is that what it was called?
Well, whatever. Ducks Unlimited. But I would.
Unlimited. There you go.
I think Armadillo's ice cream is. Did you see, by the way, we actually got a picture from somebody at the vending machine. Did you see that?
Do you have it right there? It came in on my Twitter DMs, but I don't have my device accessible here. Did I send it to you? I think I did.
Yeah, you did. Let me find it real quick. Absolutely. A guy named Luke. He says, wasn't sure where to send it, but you're the only one with open DMs, so congratulations. I've officially made the IndyQ pilgrimage all the way from Indiana on my way to Huntsville, and it's a picture of him with the Mountain Dew vending machine, which is awesome. Thank you, Luke, for doing that.
Can you verify that's it? Is that for real?
That's the one. Luke did it. He did it. We need to send him something. We got to send him something. But I think a really good pilgrimage to anybody that's in Rapid City would be a picture in front of the Armadillos sign. What do we do? Where do people send this picture? Do you just post it, or maybe just send it to us on Patreon or something like that?
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to think about it more. We'll continue to develop pilgrimage site policy around here.
Yeah, that sounds good.
But Armadillos is it. Not Mount Rushmore. That's obvious. Come on.
Duh.
You come to the Black Hills, everybody's going to Mount Rushmore. That's not special. Got to go somewhere off the beaten path. It's going to be Armadillos, and we want to know what the flavor of the day was and what you got.
I think that's the photo.
I kind of feel like we're on the beaten path. We're right downtown.
Okay, that's fair. You're more on the beaten path than Mount Rushmore.
Yes. Also, I feel like there's so many better places. Like, what about Dinosaur Park?
Yeah, Dinosaur Park is cool or whatever, but come on.
Dude, they wrote a song about it.
They did. What's the name of it? Owl City has a song.
Owl City has, what is it called? Dinosaur Park?
In Dinosaur Park.
I think it's just called Dinosaur Park.
Wonder what happened. Yeah. But no, this is special because the point of the pilgrimage site is it's got to have a connection to us and the conversations and the friendship and the whole thing. So Armadillos. Done deal. We've decided. Destin, Blood Oath Covenant, decided?
Blood Oath Covenant, yeah. Armadillos, flavor of the day. Plus, it's good ice cream. I remember getting some. It was great. I found some photos the other day of us in front of the sign. It's a good sign. It's great.
Yeah. And if you go in the off season, I want a sad picture in front of it closed. It's very important.
Great.
I'm so sorry.
Austin, thank you so much for being with us, man. I think this was an important discussion, and basically it's a little chunk of internet. We can put it out there to anybody that's looking for their first job. I think this is a really good primer for like what to do there, and I really appreciate you being on with us and talking about it.
Oh, thank you for having me, and very humbled, and I still object, but it sounds like I don't get a vote.
No, it's a Blood Oath Covenant.
Pilgrimage.
Nice. You needed to say that before we said Blood Oath Covenant. All right. Thanks, friends.
I was playing the music in my mind after that. Thanks, friends. I was like, where's the music? Oh, this is live. It doesn't have it yet.